Sorry.
That's okay. That's an important thing. A taco salad would be great. Thank you. That's okay. Or what goals have you set for yourself in 2018? So I want you to actually literally write these down. So it may be something you do want to do for your business. It may want to be something you want to do for home. So maybe if you're a salesperson, you want to get more sales. You want to do some more networking. You want to create some more leads. What are those things that you want to accomplish in 2018? And as you're doing that, I want you to envision yourself completing those goals. Take a moment and envision yourself to completing those goals. And as you do that, think about what that's going to bring to you. Maybe it's going to have a better work-life balance. Maybe you're going to get more money in your bank account. Maybe you're going to be able to buy that new house. Maybe you're going to build better relationships. I want you to envision that actually happening. That value it's going to bring to you. So now as we start thinking about, okay, we know what we want to do. We know why we want to do it. The question becomes, how are we going to get there? So what if I told you I could tell you a secret today that you could get all your goals completed every single time? Would you want to hear it?
Yes. Yeah, go ahead.
What if I told you that it was going to change the way you look at the world? Would you still want to hear it?
Yeah, sure. Mm-hmm.
What if I told you it was going to change the way your relationships happen? Do you still want to hear it?
Yeah. Yes. Okay.
Somebody's trying to sneak in. So, when I was younger, I wanted to understand why some people were successful and others were not. What I really wanted to understand is why those people over there were successful and I wasn't. So in our society, we're taught that to become successful, you have to have the right education, go to the right colleges. You have to have the right circle of influence. You have to have the right social and economic background. And so I started looking at all these factors. And I came to this conclusion that those are not the critical factor that allows us to be successful. And so I started digging more and more deep into this, and I really wanted to find out what made these people successful. I just finished the book, Bruce Springsteen's autobiography. And as I was reading it, and I was reading through it, I realized he was a young kid from New Jersey, from a working class family in New Jersey. His education level, I think he just graduated from high school. And his circle of influence when he started his first band was the neighborhood kids. But obviously he became one of the most successful rock and rollers in our country. So what did he do? What made him different than anybody else? So I started looking at this. I started looking at Bruce Springsteen, all these other successful people, and I wanted to understand what made them successful. And what I realized was it had something to do with their behaviors. Something that they did every day that allowed them to achieve their goals. And what I realized, it was their behaviors that made them there. And it was this one behavior in particular. It was the ability to make the right behavioral decision in the moment to move you closer to your goals. So they could take all this external information that we receive all this time and change their internal processes and get them to where they want to go. And it seems really simple. It's not easy. So every day we make hundreds and hundreds of decisions. Today when you came to this room, you made a decision whether you're going to stand or sit. That decision was based probably on nothing you thought about. You made a decision about your food, and you probably said, okay, this is what I'm just going to order. So your brain ends up on autopilot 50 or 60% of the time. It doesn't allow us to make decisions for us. But if we could just change one thing, we could become better and achieve our goals. So think about this. Millions of people drive into work every day. Right? And they go their normal way. If you're driving into work, you get up and you go and you just go your normal way. You don't think about it, that's the way you go. Or maybe you use GPS, or maybe you use the Waze app. Or maybe you do what I do, is I'm like, see traffic and I'm going, okay, I'm going to go a different way. But we don't make a conscious decision how we're going to do that. But what if I said to you, I want you to change one criteria about how you make your driving decisions? What if I said, going forward, what I want you to do is make them all cost-based. I want you to say, how can I get there the cheapest way? And if you did that for a year, you're going to save a little bit of money up. And then if you take that money and you spend it on your family for Christmas, what impact will that have on your family? And so when we start thinking about making these decisions in our heads, we become aware that every decision we're making is important. We start making better behavioral decisions. I really believe that when we get to that point in our life, when we need to make a decision, we only can go two ways. We can go closer to our goals, or we can go farther away from our goals. But if we're not aware, we're not making that decision, we're going to end up going away from our goal more often than we're going to go towards it. And so successful people have realized this. They've tapped into this little thing. They realize that if I can make the right behavioral decisions, I can do that. So here comes the challenge. So what behaviors are we going to work on? And so I'm going to ask you 3 questions that are going to help you kind of define what those behaviors are. So the first one is, what behaviors or actions are you going to continue to do to reach that goal? So think about that goal that you set for yourself today. What actions are you going to continue to do? So now if you're a salesperson and you could do networking a lot, that's a great thing. You want to continue to do that. But if you are not doing that, you need to think about it. Right? And so the second question is, what things are you going to stop doing? What behaviors or actions are you going to stop doing to reach your goal? And I love asking this question of my clients because it's sort of that moment they go, oh, there's things I need to stop doing. Right? Because unfortunately, we only get 100% of our energy every day. Right? And that energy level is different for every person. But if we're not applying it towards our goals, we're not going to get where we need to go. And so we need to think about that. So what are we doing? What are we wasting our energy on? And I always think, like mine is, I get distracted. I work at home a lot. So I get distracted. I can turn that television on. I can get sucked into one of those news channels. And all of a sudden, like half an hour later, I'm like, do I really care? Like, I know they're going to say the same thing at the 6 o'clock news. Why can't I just watch it then? And so I turn it off and I put it away. So the last question is, what am I going to start doing to reach my goals? And so this is the proactive, what are those things that you need to do to reach your goals? And when you work on those and you start seeing those, they really become a benefit to you. So as you start thinking about this and start thinking about what you want to achieve in 2018, this process you can go through every single time. And the reason I ask you about the value is because we don't want to do anything that we don't really have a value attached to it. We want to accomplish something. We're all small business owners. Right? And we did that because there was a reason, there's a value to it. It's going to add something to us. So make sure that that's what you do and you tap into that. I have, in January, I'm going to do a large presentation. This is from my upcoming book called The Behavioral Algorithm. And it talks about where we are. So the day 4 workshop starts with defining who we are and really understanding that, and then moving into where we want to go. And so we go through all those steps to help people kind of understand that. And so we talk a lot about what are those triggers in your life, those things that hold you back, the emotions and that kind of stuff. So when I get your business cards, I'll tap into you and I'll just let you know when it's happening. And it'll be a full day workshop, and people walk away with a lot of great information about what they want to do and what they want to accomplish. So thank you again for listening. My name is John Thalheimer.